There's this huge paradox at the heart of biology, a story about life, death, and even immortality, all happening inside every single one of our cells. And today we're diving deep into the whole double-edged sword of telomeres. So here's the big question, right? Why do our healthy cells have this built-in expiration date that leads to aging, while cancer cells can seemingly live forever, just dividing and dividing without any limit? The answer, believe it or not, lies in these tiny little structures at the very ends of our DNA. Okay, so to really get this, we've got to start with your body's own internal countdown clock. It's this incredible mechanism that basically dictates the lifespan of almost every cell you have. So let me introduce you to the telomere. The best way to think of it is like that little plastic tip on a shoelace. It's a cap made of repetitive DNA. And its whole job is to sit at the end of each chromosome and protect your genetic code from getting worn down every time a cell divides. Without these little guys, your DNA would literally start to fray and unravel. No joke. And this is where we run into something called the end replication problem. See, every single time a cell needs to divide, it has to copy all of its DNA. But the machinery that does the copying, well, it can't quite get to the very, very end. So with each copy, those protective telomere caps get just a little bit shorter, and after a while they get so short that the cell basically panics. It knows its precious DNA is exposed and it just stops dividing permanently. That process is called cellular aging or senescence. So for a long time this shortening just seemed like, well, an unavoidable part of life, but then a huge discovery changed everything, revealing an enzyme that can actually turn back the clock. Okay, so picture this. It's the early 80s. Elizabeth Blackburn and Jack Shostak figure out just how vital telomeres are for protecting our chromosomes. Then, just a couple years later, Blackburn and her student Carol Grader make this incredible discovery, an enzyme that can actually rebuild those shortening telomeres. It was so huge that all three of them ended up winning the Nobel Prize for it in 2009, and the name they gave it, Telomeres. You can honestly think of it as the immortality enzyme. Its job is to go in and add back those lost bits of DNA to the ends of the telomeres. It's basically hitting the reset button on that cellular countdown clock, letting cells keep on dividing. And this is where we get to the real heart of the matter, the core conflict, that double-edged sword I was talking about, this massive trade-off between aging and cancer. All right, this is the really critical part, so listen up. In most of our normal, healthy adult cells, that telomerase enzyme is switched off. That means our telomeres get shorter as we get older, which causes aging. But it also acts as a really important safety mechanism against cancer by stopping cells from dividing forever. But cancer cells, oh, they're clever. In something like 90% of them, they figured out how to sneakily flip that telomerase switch back on. And that gives them what they want, limitless division, the very immortality that makes cancers so terrifying. So, okay, if our telomeres getting shorter is tied to aging, the big question for all of us is, can we actually do anything about it? And it turns out the science says yes. Our lifestyle choices can make a real difference. So it looks like our diet plays a huge role here. Things that are high in fiber and antioxidants, like a classic Mediterranean diet, are linked with having longer telomeres. Foods like legumes, nuts, fruits, even seaweed all seem to help our cells maintain those protective caps. And then, of course, there's the flip side. Some foods seem to speed up the process. Things like sugary drinks, a lot of red and processed meat and alcohol, they're all linked with shorter telomeres. It's pretty wild, right? What you're putting on your plate can literally impact your biological age, right down at the cellular level. And hey, it's not just about what you eat. Getting regular physical activity is another really powerful tool. Exercise helps protect your telomeres by fighting off two of their biggest enemies, oxidative stress and inflammation, which can do direct damage to those precious DNA caps. Alright, so if cancer's big superpower is flipping that immortality switch on, well, the strategy for fighting it seems pretty obvious, doesn't it? We've got to find a way to turn it back off. And that exact strategy has led scientists to develop drugs like a metalstatin. It's what we call a telomerase inhibitor. It works by grabbing onto the telomerase enzyme and blocking it from doing its job. It stops the cancer cells from rebuilding their telomeres. And basically, it forces them to remember they have an expiration date. And get this, in actual clinical trials, this approach has been showing some serious promise. For certain blood cancers like myelofibrosis, it's actually reversed damage in the bone marrow for some patients. And in another study on essential thrombocythemia, it triggered a complete response in a staggering 89% of patients. It's even shown some positive trends in certain lung cancers. So yeah, this isn't just some theory in a textbook. It's happening right now in real-world clinical research. But as you can see from the data, even with all this promise, the road to a cure is never that simple. There are always challenges. So what's the main challenge? The big hurdle with this kind of therapy is a side effect called myelosuppression, which is basically a drop in your body's ability to make new blood cells. It's a really serious side effect, and scientists are working hard to figure out how to manage it and who the drug works best for. So where does all of this leave us? Well, we're standing at this absolutely fascinating crossroads in biology with this incredible potential to influence both how we age and how we fight cancer. When you boil it all down, it comes back to this one fundamental idea. Telomeres are the guardians of our genome. Their health is central to our health. They are the delicate balancing act between living a long, healthy life and the runaway growth that is cancer. And that leaves us with one last massive question. As we get better and better at tinkering with this cellular clock, are we finally unlocking the secrets to a longer, healthier life? Or are we playing a really dangerous game with the very system that's evolved to protect us? The answer? Well, it's still being written one cell division at a time. Dear friends, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss new useful videos. If you have any questions, write them in the comments. I'll be sure to answer. Stay healthy.